Hey, it's Becca, and this is my demonstration on a goal that I chose to write up for a first grader by the name of RT. Just some background information on RT. RT displays difficulties independently reading and answering short response questions, both written and verbally. He displays difficulties with his expressive language, which was noted in his writing and during classroom discussions with his peers. His performance on spelling tests and reading quizzes requiring him to recall details of a story have been affected, and his teacher describes him as a student who's not very attentive and has difficulty sitting in his seat. So the goal that I wrote for RT is, in 1 month, the client will describe the setting of a book by correctly stating the setting with 2 descriptors, given no more than 3 verbal cues for 3 consecutive sessions. And my goal is based on the Common Core standard that states, describe characters, settings, and major events in a story using key details. So basically, I'll start off my session by asking RT what does he believe a setting is. He can give me a wide range of answers, but then I'll direct him to the setting definition that I want him to know. So I'll say those were really good answers, RT. However, a setting is a place where something or where an event happens. Okay? And there are different ways of talking about a setting, which is called describing. And so I will give him some examples off of the iPad, which we'll be using for this session. And then we'll be using books of his choice. He gets to choose a book for the session. So what I'll do first is last week I spoke to RT and asked him what his favorite books were, and he gave me a few ideas. So what I did was took pictures of those books and put them on the iPad for us to discuss. So this is Chrysanthemum, the setting in Chrysanthemum. So I'll say, remember this book, RT? You told me that this was your favorite book. Okay, so let's talk about Chrysanthemum's classroom. So the setting is the music classroom. And Miss Rebecca will talk about this setting or describe this setting as noisy. So I gave him an example, and then we'll do another example. And this is another book that he told me he loved so much, which was Pete the Cat at the Beach. And so I'll say, remember, you also told me this was your favorite book. So what would you say the setting of this book is? So he can say outside or at the beach. Any of those are appropriate. And I'll say, how will you speak about the setting or describe the setting? He can say hot. He can say sunny. He can say colorful. Any of those work for me. And so what I'll do is now allow him to pick a book. So let's say he picks this book, Llama Llama, Home with Mama. And me and RT will both read the book together. And we'll discuss the setting. And we'll discuss our examples. And if he needs assistance, of course, I will show him the examples that I already have on my iPad. So after me and RT read this book, what I'll do is I'll take pictures of different things in the book, like characters, objects, and of course the setting. I will set a timer on my phone and I will tell RT, look, now that we've read the book, we're going to play a little game on the iPad. I'm going to set a timer and I want you to find at least 2 pictures of a setting, and I want you to give me 2 descriptions or 2 ways of talking about that setting. So I'll set the timer and he'll go through the pictures. So here we have a setting, and so he can say, oh, this is the setting, this is the bedroom in the house. And so I'll say, okay, how will you describe it? So maybe he can say that it's cold because the baby llama has the blanket on, or maybe he can say that it's colorful, and I'll be okay with that. Then I'll say, well, is this a setting? And he'll say, no, that's Mama Llama. Is this a setting, RT? And then he can say, no, that's Baby Llama. Is this a setting? Yes, that's the kitchen inside of the house. And so I'll say, how will you describe or talk about this kitchen? And he can say anything from it was hot. Maybe it's a small kitchen. Anything that he speaks about is appropriate. If he feels like he doesn't know, I will definitely show him the examples that I have of the books that he told me that he really liked. Remember, this is noisy, and the setting was the music classroom. So we'll do that until the timer goes off. Of course, this is not the setting. And if I feel like RT has a really difficult time with this goal, I'll just have him point at the setting in different books, and then maybe we can just talk about the different colors that we see inside of those settings. For future goals, if he does really well with this, I would say that he can identify a setting in different characters spontaneously, using Rory's story cubes, which are cubes that you roll, and different settings, characters, objects pop up, and he has to create a story, and we can just speak about the setting and 2 descriptors that way. The reason I chose to use an iPad is because it seems to provide a more effective intervention skills and communication skills that a paper and pencil may not provide. McNaughton and Light 2013 mentioned that. I am also interested in modeling and providing assistance based on the Klein's zone of proximal development, which was Shabani and others, 2010. They mentioned that once a task is completed together and continue to be completed together as necessary, the next time the client does it independently, the zone of proximal development is raised. So, yeah, that's my demonstration. Hopefully it was up to par.